Look at that. And we got stuck in a dust storm earlier today, and that was the precursor to this. We survived the dust storm, and I'm sure we'll survive the rainstorm. We really need to start worrying when we can't see the escarpment. That's when we know we need to start preparing ourselves, hunkering down, and closing up the flaps to protect ourselves from the weather. And we just sit it out and keep nice and cozy inside our closed-up vehicle. And when that happens, Nicholas, our Sky, says that the wildebeest are crossing. Hold on, hold on. Okay, here we go. It's time for a Ferrari safari on steroids, because in this wind it feels like I'm going 4 times faster than I normally do. Girls, we'll be back with you in a second. Don't go anywhere. I'll be keeping my eye on you. Nicholas, our ranger, thinks I'm very funny. He's laughing at me and giving me the thumbs up. I'm not sure, sorry, because there's so much wind I can't really hear what Kirsten's saying. So if you're going to go away from me, I'll see you shortly, hopefully at Dusty Crossing. Some of them have already made it across. Fast, Vildies, fast. They are very fast, wildebeest. They've already made it across, and I'm getting there as fast as possible. But I know you're watching the incredible river cams. This is quite exciting. I think this is the first time we've ever actually been at a crossing with the vehicle while the river cam is there as well. And of course, it's that magical time of the day where we become the only car in the Mara. Everyone else is heading for home, and we are not going anywhere. Oh, crocodile's got a wildebeest. I'm trying to get there. Hold on, guys. We're on our way. I swallowed a fly. A baby wildebeest, apparently. Kirsten's telling me we're nearly there. Hold on. One last big bump. Don't fall off, Dave. Apparently the wildebeest is still trying to escape. We're going to be there in a matter of seconds. 2 crocodiles now apparently on it. There are still some other wildebeest approaching from the other bank that you won't be able to see. Okay, Dave, can you... Oh, there we go. Okay, well, we're here. Bouncy, bouncy, lots of rocks. There's a 3rd crocodile actually coming in. There we go. We've just got here. I think we're a little late, unfortunately. And we weren't even that far away. Wasn't a big crossing. Not too many animals. And our 3 crocodiles descended on that poor baby wildebeest. There we go. What's that? Is that a rock? That is a rock. There we go. Midstream. Oh, shame. Poor little one. That is not a little one, though. That is the crocodile's tail. That's where it went down. Now, you might see gusting dust come through us, and that's from the wildebeest that made it across, that are running behind us at the moment. Look downstream, Dave. There we go. Now, that doesn't look like a young wildebeest at all, though. From the horns, that looks like a big wildebeest. Now, not to say that more than one might have been taken. It's a thing. These crossings are so chaotic. Where are my binoculars now? Binos. Now, the funny thing about these wonderful... Oh, there's another crocodile coming in to where the others are. Spending all this time out here. Oh, there we go. Just checking the 2 girls are still in the same spot they are. Is that we do tend to have an inordinate amount of warmth or warm clothing and blankets that we carry with us, because it can get very chilly. So sometimes my binoculars disappear into said abyss of blankets, shookers, jerseys and jackets. Hi, Hunter. Hunter's wondering, when will the migration end? Now, Hunter, that is a very good question, because we're not exactly sure. It changes from year to year, depending on rainfall, depending on availability of grass. So it all very much depends. So I think this year it might stay in Kenya a little bit longer. Oh dear. Well, the crossing's over, and I can just see what looks to be the cheetah girls on the move. You see them there, Dave? It's all happening here, live in Kenya. To the right a little bit. So, the river camera's watching us. Wave, Dave. Wave, Nicholas. There's a camera there. Say hi, Nick. So, Nick is our ranger. He's awesome. He's been with us for the last couple of days. And we are having the best time ever. So, we're going to go now follow those girls, because they are heading towards a really big herd of wildebeest. If you go to the right a little bit, Dave, on top of the ridge. There we go, and there's a lot more over the edge. So it's time to get on my Ferrari safari again. We definitely don't want to lose those girls, especially at this time of this day when it is the best time for cheetah hunting. And as you can see, the wind's everywhere. So while I try reorganize myself, let's go back to Tayla.
Quick. Hi everybody, Sebastian and I were just discussing how we're going to get the one animal in the Sabi sands today on camera, because it disappeared behind some trees, but it is a beautiful specimen of a waterbuck, don't you think? He's got a magnificent set of horns, a beautiful ring around his buttocks, and, well, his tail is swishing from side to side, so that must mean that the wind is not keeping the bugs at bay. They're still biting him quite a bit. It's actually been exceptionally quiet today, but again, it's not to be unexpected on these windy days. It's just one of those things. The animals don't like the wind. Even the birds have been hard to put on camera. I exclaimed turtle dove at one point today too. It then flew away. I might have actually scared it, but the day is not over just yet. Of course, there's still plenty of time to find all sorts of wonderful creatures. It's just a pity he's gone behind all of those trees. Now, he might be on his way towards Treehouse Dam, or he could go to Twin Dams. It could go either way at the moment, and to go and have a drink, but he's still a little way off. I haven't even really seen any impala, the odd inyala here and there hiding behind the thicket. We're just going to have to keep our eyes peeled. But what we're going to do from here is we're actually going to head round. We're on Gari Main at the moment. We're going to go towards Triple M and possibly pass that area where we know the lions, the Agama lions, have a den site. Maybe we catch them moving in and out of the property. But we have got a few other birds. They're a little bit far away, but there's some crested francolins. There's also a hornbill of some sort. I think it's a red-billed hornbill. It's just a bit difficult to tell. You can see the sun is starting to set. No, it's not. It's a yellow-billed hornbill. Like I said, it's a bit far away. And they're catching all the little insects. Maybe there's some ants or things moving around there. There's quite a few birds going about. What are you eating? It's always so difficult to try and figure out what they're plucking from the ground. Every now and then you see the odd beetle moving. Well, you're having a break now. You just thought maybe you're going to have a little bit of a dust bath too. It is always really amazing when they do dust bath in the golden light. It's quite a cool sighting to actually have. If only it would go out onto the road or into a spot where there is a bit of sunlight. But no partner. Oh, look at that. Do you see how it was following something? That was amazing. It's incredible to watch these birds move their heads around. Obviously, armed with that really big beak. It must be quite heavy, I can only imagine. But I love the way that when they have to follow something, they really have to turn their head around. Whereas you and I, we could keep our heads still and just move our eyes from side to side. And obviously, if it gets out of our peripheral, well, then we'll have to, of course, turn our head. But with that bird, it constantly needs to keep looking around. But let's continue. Let's see who else is going to be around here. This is actually the most bustling spot we've had all day. Even Chitwa Dam wasn't quite this busy. And it's been lovely and warm though. I mean, the last couple of days, by 4 o'clock, most of us would have had our jackets on. I'm still in shorts. Not that I was planning on changing while I was on drive, but and it's not particularly cold. The wind is very, very warm. I'm sure that will change a little bit later though, and we'll have to add on a few more layers. But let's keep our fingers crossed, because hopefully we're going to find the Ngahuma Pride. The sticks are not far off the boundary too, maybe they come across. But let's go across to Jamie, who seems to be having lots of luck with the lions.
Well, I was, until I crossed the drainage line, and now I can't find them. Somewhere between the lugger that I just crossed and the herd of wildebeest, there are 2 lions in the long grass, and I can't find them. It is completely ridiculous, but now I understand exactly why it was that when they lifted their head, the wildebeest couldn't see them, because you cannot see them from this perspective. You cannot. Or we're both blind on the back of this vehicle. So, have you got him? Okay. We're just figuring out where these lions are. Elena, who is 14 years old. I hope you aren't... Yes. Sorry, Manu. I've got the lion. Sorry, Elena. Elena, you want to know... There they are. Got him. Whether it would be easier for a lion to hunt... And I'm sorry, I'm concentrating on not losing them again. There they are, straight ahead of me. Hunt a large group or a small group of wildebeest? The answer is a large group of wildebeest. Absolutely. There you go. Got you. There we go, straight ahead of us. We were so close and yet so far. A large group of wildebeest is absolutely easier, because there's a much greater chance that you're going to catch one. First of all, they actually almost bottleneck each other into a tight space. And secondly, oh, here comes a galloping panicked zebra, but that's just because of the wind. And secondly, there's just more targets to choose from. So the answer is a large group of wildebeest. For us, things are easier with a smaller group of wildebeest, because then we can concentrate on what the lions are doing, and it's easier for us to stay out of the way of everything. In this case, we've actually got a perfect scenario. We've got the lions in front of us, the wildebeest herd in front of us and not around us. And so it actually works out perfectly. Eowyn, I want to know what the lion's sprint distance is. At top speed, they probably can't really cover much more than about, I would say, between 200 to 400 yards. But I've seen a lion run up to about a mile. Not always at full speed, and possibly even a little bit more than a mile. Often lagging a little bit and then speeding up and lagging and speeding up. They're not completely without stamina. Lionesses are, I think, capable of running for a little bit longer than we realize, or I at least realized. The reason that I believe that is just from having watched hunts in the past. And I mean, we watched one hunt on Djuma where the lionesses must have run they ran all the way up from Warthog Dam, past Ingers, around Ingers, through Philemon's Dip, and ended up on the other side of quarantine clearings. So they can run long distances. I'm going to get a fraction closer. As it starts to get dark, it's going to be harder and harder to pick them out. So while we sneak up on them, let's go back to Brent to find out what his cheetah have planned for the evening.
Well, these girls are heading into perfect hunting territory. Now, I think what they're heading towards at the moment might be a little bit big for them. Yes, indeed. I think the buffalo might get the better of the ladies, but there are a lot of Thompson's gazelles, and in this really windy weather, they're probably going to be hunkered down in this long grass. So there's a good chance the girls will be able to maybe spook one up for dinner. Now, of course, I was telling Dave a little while ago that this is horrible human weather, but if you're a big cat, this is just wonderful hunting weather. This wind will not let your prey hear what's happening around you. So I think the girls might be in for a treat. Well, let's get a bit closer while they have a break on a territorial. Now, it's all happening. I forgot to say, actually, on our way, we heard about the girls who were coming here, and we passed 16 members of the Paradise Pride as well, just having a snooze on top of some rocks about over there. But there were no potential wildebeest around them, so we let them snooze, and we kept moving on. And we've also got a report near Governor's of 5 nomadic young males of about 4 years old. So depending on what happens, there could be lots and lots going on this evening. But for now, let's stick with Amani's daughters. See, even they're a little bit nervous in this wind. Of course, as much as it helps them for hunting, their hearing and sense of smell is also affected. So they've got to be careful about lions and hyenas. Oh, this wind is so strong. But looking back over me, I can still see the escarpment. So I'm hoping that's a good judge that I'm not about to get drenched just yet. Now this is quite a risky area for cheetah. Of course there's high reward because there's lots of potential prey around, but also this is Paradise Pride and the musketeer lion territory. There's also a very healthy hyena population in this area. Hi, Philip. Philip says, but these are young girls. It is said that females don't form coalitions. Philip, it isn't unusual in their first year after becoming independent from their mother that they will stick together for comfort. But once they reach sexual maturity, they will split. So at the moment they are young. They've only been away from mom for a few months, so they're still sticking to those cub bonds. Very similar to what you would see with leopard cubs. But as they get older, those bonds will break and they will become solitary. Laurie says, 2 girls and 5 boys. That's amazing. Indeed it has been. We have been absolutely spoilt on our long all-night missions, and I'm a bit. Well, this is one of those funny situations you find yourself in. I'm excited about what's going to happen tonight after the sun sets. I'm also a bit worried because of the clouds and the weather that's around. Now I'm hoping that the Swahili saying for what I'm hoping is I'm hoping that Dave, Nicholas and I will be bahati sana, which means very lucky, and we'll manage to find a sliver between all the various rainstorms that are very much imposing all around us. Now they keep hearing. Let me get my binoculars up. Let me have a scan to see if there's any potential cheetah prey around, apart from the buffalo, which are definitely not potential cheetah prey. There are some wildebeest in the distance. Those are the ones that just made it across Dusty Crossing. Now, it's actually stopped now. We could see very much why Dusty Crossing was called Dusty Crossing earlier, as the dust really just streaked across there. The Swahili word for dusty or dust is vumbi, so it's actually called Vumbi Crossing, Dusty Crossing. Now there was another small herd that turned around, or part of actually the other herd, but they. Cheetah have seen something. One girl's just jogged off behind us. I don't know what she's seen. Can you see her, Dave? Where's she off to? Did it look like she saw something, or she just decided to have a jog down the termite mound? Oh no, she decided to have a run. All the other girls running past. Let's just have a quick look. They're gonna play. I think they might. And you can see, even though there was blood on the face, they definitely haven't eaten well. Well, we're gonna stick with them while we stick with these cheetah. Let's go back across to Madam McCurdy and a wart pig.
How amazing is this? Sebastian and I followed these warthogs for about 150 meters. And I actually bumped into Shanae from Nkoro, and she said, "What are you looking at?" So I said, "Warthogs." I said, "Hopefully they're going to take us to their burrow," and that's exactly what they've done. Now, both adult females have disappeared into the burrow. These are the little sub-adults now going in. What's the time? Let's have a look at the time. It's 5:20, and that apparently means bedtime for the warthogs. And most of you know they are let me try that again. Most of you know that they are diurnal, and at night they will seek shelter in, of course, burrows like this from a termite mound that probably an aardvark or something along the lines have created. It could be an old hyena den, it could be a number of different things, and they're utilized by the various animals. And you can see, oh, look at the dust coming out of there now. They obviously are doing a little bit of redecorating inside, and you constantly have to do that, of course, when, especially on a windy day like this, and also when you're moving in and out of the entrance of that hole, you're kicking in a lot of the dirt. So you take your snout, which is almost got a sort of hard ridge on it, and it's very, very good for sort of shoveling things out. Perhaps it's even got its bottom facing the wrong way, and maybe even kicking the dust out like that. But that was amazing. It's not very often that you get to see warthogs actually returning to their burrows. It's almost quite difficult to try and pinpoint where some are living. But they won't stay there forever. There might be a couple within the area that they'll change, I reckon, every 2 weeks or so, just because of the parasite buildup. Lots of fleas, lots of mites and things, and then of course, well, predators will figure out where they live. That is amazing. Now, Mike, you're wondering if diseases on Djuma are more of a wet and dry season rather than sort of 4 seasons. You're 100% correct in saying that. So typically things like mange come about in the drier seasons, and then things like schistomiasis or bilharzia and other parasites that are in a snail form or need water to survive will typically be in the wet season. So again, mosquitoes, that's when malaria pops up, and a variety of different things, blue-green algae poisoning. All these things start to occur. Okay, well, blue-green algae poisoning will occur more in the drier seasons when there's not constant sort of refilling of the natural pads. But yes, you're 100% correct in saying that. This will be quite interesting to see. We must actually come and have a look around this area. If we see any particular predator tracks, sort of maybe they pick up on the scent of these warthogs. And this is normally a good crossing spot for leopards, now that we know. And we'll try and keep tabs and see how long this family of warthogs decide to live in here. There must have been, there's 2 adult females, like I said, and then I think there were about 6 sub-adults that I'm sure belong to both of those females. How many sub-adults belong to which female, I'm not exactly sure. But that was amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. That was definitely, well, the best sighting of the day so far for me. But Tristan's still walking around on foot. He's going to have to start heading home soon, and he's decided to do a walk towards the Hyena Den.
Well, I'm not at the Hyena Den, Tayla. We're in an area that looks like it possibly was the Hyena Den before the one that we found the other day. Now, the reason I say this is you can see there's a burrow that goes in there. Now, I'm not sure if there's anything in there now. I'm trying to see and look inside. I can't see anything. There are a few little tracks, but I can't make out what they are. The soil is very rough here. But the reason why I say it could have been an old hyena den is, one is we've got this excavation going into the mound that you see there. There's also a clear indication on this mound that it's been utilized quite heavy, that there's been a lot of movement on it at some stage. And the other most obvious sign that the hyenas were here is just round the corner. So when you have hyena dens, what you'll find is that the dens themselves, when they get utilized, the adults spend a lot of time here, and of course the adults, when they spend time, need to go to the toilet. So if we come and have a look over here, there is a nice big pile of old hyena dung. So you can see these big white almost balls that you see over here is very typical of hyenas. That's what you'll see, and this is not the only one. There's about 3 or 4 of these dotted around the mound itself. So I would imagine that this particular, let me get rid of that for you, Senzo. But this particular dung was done quite some time ago. You can see it's white. When it first comes out, it's more of a light green color. So I think this den was utilized, and that's why we couldn't find the hyenas for quite some time. This is in the middle of a block. There's no roads anywhere near here, and so it's quite exciting to know that this is a potential den. It means that in the future we can come and check here, and if we don't find the hyenas at any of the other dens, that this is another spot that we can check. So that's very exciting. What you will find is after the hyenas move out, things like warthogs, as we've just seen with Tayla, will go in, porcupines, aardvarks, pangolins, varying other things. So sometimes it's quite cool to actually look inside there, and sometimes you can spot stuff inside. The reason why I know that there's not porcupines inside here is because if there was porcupines, we would actually find evidence of bones around there. You find that porcupines are quite big into chewing on bones for calcium. They do it much like what zebras and giraffe, they'll pick up and they'll chew on it to gain calcium. So porcupines often have little bones around there. Very cool to see though. Right, Senzo, let's go this way. SLB public, you want to know how far I will walk from camp before it gets dark? Well, we're going to have to start heading back to camp. I'm quite far north at the moment. It's not too bad. It should take me about, I would say, half an hour to get back from here if we walk fairly steadily. So I'm going to try and start heading back now. Unfortunately, our elephants just kept pushing north, and we just couldn't keep up with them to get to them in time before we have to start turning back. Because ultimately out here, especially windy like it is now, we don't really want to be on foot in the dark. With lots of elephants around, there could be buffalo, we know leopard, lions, and you don't really want to tangle with any of those animals at night. Our senses are so dull in comparison to those at night time that you really can't mess around. So we're going to start heading back, but just now we had the best surprise in the whole world. We were walking along and we had two spotted eagle owls burst from right out in front of us. We tried to find them again, but we didn't. But I think they might be nesting in a certain section, so I'm going to come and check around here on future bushwalks. Now, talking about walking and bushwalks and not bumping into things in the night, I believe Jamie Patterson is still with the lions, and I'm sure they're going to want to go hunting this evening.
I am sure they are, although I'm very glad that I'm not out on foot with said lions. We're basically right next to them, and they are next to invisible to me, which just goes to show how difficult it must be being a wildebeest and spotting a predator hidden in the grass like this. She's there. She's just lifted her head now. There we go. She gave a little bit of a yawn. I can just see her. Oh, gosh. There she is. Well done, Manu. There she is, hidden in the grass. The difficulty here is that these lionesses are not 100% relaxed, A, and B, they are hunting. I have no intention of in any way spooking them so that they feel the need to stand up and give away their position. So what that means is that we've got to sit tight, we've got to make do with a view of an ear, for now, just between the fields and plains of red oat grass in front of us. The wildebeest haven't spent much time here. The second lioness is somewhere there too. There you go, there's the wildebeest. It's taken me a little bit of time to get used to just how much the shot is compressed. They are now, from the closest wildebeest, and admittedly a lot of the wildebeest have moved away, they're now about 50 yards or so from them. So while we wait patiently essentially for our lions to move so that we can see them, at least Brent's cheetah have decided to do some wandering about.
Well, welcome back. Indeed, they have. Well, we're doing some wandering, and it's quite strange. I've developed some... Oh, dear, we've got some flappity flap. I'll sort it out now. The wind is playing a bit of havoc with us at the moment with our canvas covers. Now, I've developed some allergies since I've been in Kenya. Now, of course, they're not real allergies, more of joking allergies. And my biggest allergy is to rocks. Now, the lions and cheetahs seem to like to take me bouncing and bouncing over rocks. We can only go very slowly. So is everyone ready? I'm about to give you the most gorgeous screenshot opportunity. So fingers at the ready. If I don't hit one of my allergies in the long grass. How's that, Dave? Oh, we've got a flappity flap in the way. Well, hopefully it'll stay out of the way. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? They're going to walk out. Let's go wide, let's go wide. Here we go, screenshot time. Now, Elena, who's 14 years old, is wondering, is there any difference in speed between male and female cheetah? Not that I'm aware of. It's possible that males might be able to just get a little bit faster because their muscles are a little bit bigger. Now, I know Scott's seen these girls take down scrub hare before, and I almost think at certain points it looks like they might even be searching for scrub hares in this long grass. They are heading in the right direction. There are wildebeests just over this rise here. But will they see them? That is the question. Now the grass is getting quite long as we head up towards Rhino Ridge, away from Main Crossing. Now, while Dave shows you the cheetah, I'm quickly going to fix our canvas flap. So, Kirsten, if Kirsten says anything, Dave, you just tell me.
Yeah, we can do Tayla.
Oh, we're going to go to Tayla while I climb onto the roof of our car.
So, it seems as though our luck is now changing. How cool is this? From a waterbuck and a couple of birds to warthogs going home for the evening, and now a herd of elephants. And who knows what they're up to. They're very busy creatures, constantly on the go. Let me reverse for you, Seb, and we can get an even better view. So I think we're going to follow these elephants. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And good, because you didn't have a choice. No, just teasing. Right, that was funny. Let's carry on. Oh, there's some little ones coming. Not any teeny tiny tots that look like, you know, they're just been born, unfortunately. But a few that are a couple of months old, and hopefully will provide us with some entertainment. Because, like the hippos normally get quite excited at the last sort of bit of light, I've noticed that young elephants do exactly the same thing. Hello, everyone. And they seem fairly relaxed, considering the horrid wind. Oh, here we've got a curious one. My absolute favourite. You're not coming over to say hello? Perhaps you've heard stories about me. Maybe from yesterday when I chased off an elephant bull that mock charged me and was saying horrible things about me. But don't worry, I won't chase you. Unless you're ugly to me, then I won't say any ugly things back at you. And I think it's important when you're around elephants to try and sort of emit a positive attitude. I really do think that they can pick up on your body language quite a bit. Now move even just a little bit further forward, because there's a youngish calf, and I suspect that they're going to walk sort of this way, and maybe the rest of them will come around us. It's quite a big herd. It's very difficult to sort of tell how many there are, but just from scanning around as you watch this youngster feed behind its mother, there's some naughty young bulls that are coming this way, and they seem to be pushing and shoving each other. So hopefully they're going to push and shove each other when they come this side too. It's just a bit far for us to see, but they just can't, well, not they can't, they don't seem to stop sort of filtering out towards us. They're everywhere. But again, all the elephants that we're seeing at the moment, all the females, and I don't know if you've been noticing this, you might be able to go back and have a look at your screenshots. Okay, maybe not all the females, but majority of the cows are secreting from their temporal glands, which I find fascinating. And I wonder if it is just because of the change of season, and I briefly touched on this, and the fact that the vegetation is not as nutritious as what it normally is in the summer months, but it's still not very bad. I mean, we're almost at the end of August. There's still a lot of vegetation around. Yes, the grass is yellow, but the trees have still got a few leaves on them. I mean, they haven't really even started bulldozing trees over and digging for roots. We've seen them stripping bark here and there, but not anything, you know, out of the ordinary. And I'm sure after the drought which we've just come out of, if life should be a little bit easier. I mean, there's still water around all this type of thing. I'm sure there'll be enough water in the pans. It'll come close, but I think that there'll still be a bit of water about for them to drink. I think we're very lucky that we can traverse on Chitwa, because that dam will stay full all year round. And when the other pans start to dry up, that's where they'll go to. And because it's so big as well, that water's constantly moving, and it'll take a lot longer for it to get to that sort of putrid stage where it's not particularly nice. Then, of course, Gallagher Pan is also pumped, so we should start to see more and more elephant activity right around and on our doorstep. Hello, girl. Would you like me to move out the way for you? Have you got another route in mind? No, she's being sort of pushed by this elephant bull, young bull from behind. She's moving away from him. I'm just going to sit up quickly. Now, Delrish, you're wondering who is more... No, I've missed that. I'm sorry, Megan. It went in one ear and out the other. I apologize. That was terrible listening skills on my behalf. Oh, there we go. So, Delores, you're wondering who's more curious, male or female elephants? You know what? I actually am going to not even... It doesn't even depend on the sex to me. It depends on the age. That's what I'm going to say. But of course, there's always ifs and buts and, you know, the exceptions. But I find that young elephants, sort of younger than 6 months, are often quite curious, and they don't understand what we are just yet, and they try and work out whether we, we're a toy, or whether they can intimidate us, or sort of what their plan is. And then you get the next set at about 10 years old or so. And I've noticed typically with, this is now obviously sex dependent, the females that are obviously sort of pre-puberty, when they start becoming sexually mature, obviously lots of hormones flashing through their system, and unfortunately we notice they throw a lot of temper tantrums, and we've had many encounters with young teenage females come around the car very curious, and not necessarily always nasty, but again trying to intimidate us is quite entertaining, of course, and then they move on once they get bored. And then the next set, I find, is the young elephant bulls that are about to get pushed out of the herds, or the ones that have been pushed out. They either come over the bigger bulls, and like we experienced yesterday, and shake their heads and try and intimidate us. Obviously, we don't put up with nonsense like that, especially from a young elephant bull. We've got to curb that behavior around the cars. And then the younger elephants, just sort of before they get pushed out, they're quite curious. They come over and they smell the cars, you know. But again, most of the time elephants don't really want to interact in a negative way with us. We don't want that, and we try and leave all sightings on a positive basis, again with a few exceptions. When you have a young naughty bull and you need to tell him no, and then you might not be the way you wanted to leave, but that's just one of those things. But we find that he'd been shouted at by 10 different cars on that same day. But they're moving particularly quickly, sort of a general speed that an elephant will do. They'll feed every now and then, so put their heads down, and their trunks really go down to the ground, pick up a lot of vegetation. They're feeding on different things. Some are feeding on leaves, some are feeding on grass. Those two, what are you tucking into? That little one seems to be fighting something just from the swaying of its head. It must have been a tough piece of grass that it was trying to pull up. There we go. Not really wanting... Are you going to eat the rest of those roots? Or are you going to pop it on the ground? A big herd of elephants. And I noticed that the clashing of tusks caused Seb's attention, so we're going to try and find those youngsters. So while we reposition, I'm going to send you all the way to Kenya with Brent and the cheetah.
Well, we're still with the girls. Unfortunately for them, there doesn't look to be too much potential prey in the direction they've headed. I saw one impala, but it's far away. Now, we've fixed our flaps, and I'm going to try give you the screenshot opportunity again with that magnificent Mara sunset and these two absolutely gorgeous girls. Dave, forward, back. It's good. Dave says it is good. So there we go. Isn't that wonderful? You don't get many better scenes than that. Where are you off to, madam? They are definitely hungry. You can see that concave belly. So they're definitely worth sticking to. You'd never know if there's a Thompson's gazelle or a Grant's gazelle in this, or even a reedbuck in this long grass. Now we're coming up in a good area for reedbuck. As Dave comes wide, you'll see that there's a sort of little lugga, or little dry ravine with some thick grass. And that's where reedbuck will tend to hide out during the day and then come out later at night to feed. I think it was Lindsay who was asking, are female cheetah more aggressive with the hunt than the males? I would say not at all. I'd say the males are definitely far more aggressive with the hunt, and they will definitely attempt to take down much bigger prey than the girls. Okay, let's keep up with them as they head into the long grass. Now we've got some topi up ahead. There's also wildebeest and zebra spread throughout this area up here. And cheetah cover incredible distances, often far further than lion or leopard. I'd say probably the only animal that can outdistance a cheetah in a night is a spotted hyena. They're capable of incredible feats of distance. Now it's quite amazing. Dave and I were chatting. We have not been in this area since probably the end of May, and it was a very different story then. We were slip sliding through mud. We got stuck a couple of times. It got out, and but it was a very, very, very different area. We had to really think about where you had to drive due to the amount of mud that's around. Okay, well, we're going to stick with these gorgeous girls while we do that. Seems like Tristan is checking out. Let's go see where he is.
Well, we're slowly but surely on our way down towards the dam. We've walked quite fast to get back because the light is fading much faster than we thought. So we've been striding a little bit to try and get all the way back to where your camp is and to the shelter and sanctity of light and structures so that we don't get caught short. We did actually, funny enough, hear some elephants a little further north of us, but in this kind of light, it's really quite tough to see their grey shapes against the backgrounds, and it's not wise to be tracking elephants in the thickets that we were in. So we weren't too far behind them, but like I said, they just kept pushing beyond us the whole way, so we unfortunately had to abandon that and start heading towards the dam. Now the reason why I wanted to head towards the dam is twofold. One, just to check this drainage line along Tayla camp, see if there isn't any sign of any of our spotty friends lurking about. We haven't found too many tracks for them, funnily enough. We found a few tracks close to Gallagher Pan when we first started, but other than that, no real fresh signs to speak of. So I just want to check around these drainage lines, see if there isn't anything here, give us a bit of clue as to where they've gone. And, well, you never know what's at the dam as well. The dam's always a very nice place to go and spend time and to be able to try and see what's happening. So it's always good to go and check and have a little look. Now, I'm going to slowly make my way down towards the dam, and then we're just on the last pathway before we push through this thicket and to the dam itself. And I believe Tayla managed to do what we didn't, and she's still with her elephants.
That we are, Tristan, and if you're heading home, I think it would be a good night to make a fire. So hopefully when we come back to camp we'll get nice and toasty. But I said what we were going to do, and luckily the elephants are playing, part of the game that I was hoping to play, and that is the two youngsters that were pushing and shoving each other around. So here they are. They're between about, I'd say anywhere between 7 and 10 years old, these two young fella. Perhaps they're a little bit tired now. They were pushing and shoving each other quite a bit, but they've let down, and I think it's because they're at the end of the herd, and the mother is, I don't know which one of these males, she seems to be, I don't think she's 100% well. She looked like she had a little bit of diarrhea, and she showed some agitation towards us, but I don't think it was sort of aimed at us. I think, it was sort of displacement, aggression. So I think she's a little bit unwell, and she's just sort of saying to us, keep out of my way, I'm not feeling well, I'm moody, I've got two annoying young elephant bulls that keep pushing and shoving and getting left behind, and she's just a bit on the agitated side, so we'll avoid her. But let's try and catch up with these bulls. They're going to actually pop out into the spot that we were a little while ago. We just need to quickly turn around, and then I'm going to quickly tell you some exciting news, because you know me, I get so distracted all the time, I forget to tell you things. When I bumped into Shanae, we were with the Warthog. Apparently there's another pangolin on Elephant Plains. How cool is that? And then also, apparently the sticks might get moving and move towards Chitwa, so we could end up going back that way. But while we reposition and find our elephant friends, let's go to Jamie in the Mara with the lions.
Everything has changed, and our entire hunt has been interrupted by brawling male lions. And we've just seen one young male, I think one of our younger ones. He's actually racing over there, Manu. Can you see him off to the right there? He's come racing along. Oh, little one, he's so frightened. He's been beaten up by a big male. And this big male, oh, there he goes again. He's going for him. This is not going to be nice to watch. For our sensitive viewers, you may need to actually switch off. The two big males have cornered the two younger males, and hopefully, are you struggling with your ambient there? It's on. Listen. Oh, they're scrapping badly. I was a little bit concerned that we might actually end up with a fight situation where the older males could potentially kill the younger ones. I don't know if they're related. The females have gone. Females have gone completely. Where did they go? Doesn't matter. We'll come back, find them. I think they're getting out of the way. Here comes our young males. It's our two young boys and two massive males racing after them. The females have skedaddled. They want no part of this. They're not going to hunt now. They're going to get out of the way, which makes complete sense. There goes our young boy over there. One young male there. And then the two big boys off to our left. So we've got two of our young males. You can see him running. He got out of that lightly. But here comes the big male once again to chase him away. This just goes to show how utterly unexpected life can be out here. This was not what I was expecting to experience at all. I thought we were going to see a wildebeest get caught. I was not expecting to get caught up in the middle of whatever family dramas are happening here. He's going after the one. We're going to stick with him. The other one is going off to the left after the second young male. Can you see him there, Manu? I'll keep up with this big boy. There he goes. He's racing now. This is insane. This was not what I was expecting. Look at him go. Okay, come, let's keep up. This is going to be quick. Hold on. All of a sudden, I just heard this sound of brawling. Now, I think the males might have got to the point where they feel like they've shown the young males off, but I'm not sure. I can't see the young male anymore. If he just keeps going, and if they just keep acting submissive, they're going to get away with it. They'll be okay. The wildebeests are going to start stampeding. We have to start to be careful now. Male charging into the middle of the wildebeest. I don't know where the females have gone, but I'm almost certain they would have gone as far away from this as possible. It's amazing. They don't panic when they can see. There's our male. The younger male's disappeared. I don't even know where he went. I've lost track of the other male as well. Oh, is that him up ahead? Just a little bit to the left, Manu. Yeah, there he goes. There he goes. He's racing off. I think... Oh, he's running in between the wildebeest. He's not even paying them any attention. The male's no longer running after him. He's just roaring. The roars of the second male. these young males are actually bonded together. I've seen them together several times, and actually, ultimately and accidentally, they were responsible for one of the most terrifying moments I've ever had out in the bush in my entire life, getting caught in the middle of the wildebeest stampede that they were partially responsible for. That was not their fault, though. So they are bonded together. Would they bond together to fight off these males? Yes, at some point, but not yet. They are not ready to face a male or two males of this size. They are absolutely not old enough yet. Those two young boys are only around about, I would say, 2.5 to 3 years old, whereas these male lions are in their prime. They're territorial males, and they are not impressed with life. You can see it in their body language. He's got a bit of a limp, so perhaps our young boy managed to get a claw in here or there. Okay, let's keep up with him. He's going to racing off to find the second male. What I've been stopping and listening for is the sound of fighting. We know the first male got away, the young male. I'm not sure what we'll call him. I better not name them anything. It'll become official and I'll be in trouble. David, I think they're done. I think these older males are done, but I'm not sure. It's territorial. If the two boys, the two younger boys, have been showing signs of being territorial, I think these two boys would track them down until they were absolutely certain they were out of their territory. But because they're young and because they're submissive, and you could see even in that fight, he was quite submissive. I think that it's safe to say that they're going to give it a rest now, depending on where that second young male is. Oh, this is such an act of faith driving through here like this. Everybody just hold on, because we could hit anything at any moment. Manu, I mean you as well. I don't want to slam your face into the camera. I would feel very bad. He goes out, he's running now. The second young male, I've been listening for signs of another fight, because that's what alerted me to what was going on. And I haven't heard anything, so I think he's okay. But it is the older male. Oh gosh, this is going to get confusing. The two young males are about 6 months apart. One is slightly older than the other. The youngest one has just got away. The older one is the one that was being targeted by the second big male. We need numbers or letters or something to keep track of this all. There is a second option. The second option is that these young boys are known to these males and that they are potentially their fathers, and that it's got to the stage where it's time to boot their boys out. I don't think so, though. I think these boys have been distracted by the presence of the wildebeest, and the young males kind of got away with being around. They were roaring, but sort of that side. But because I don't know which pride those young males came from, I can't confirm anything. That was not what I was expecting. Okay, we're going to catch up. There's the second male up ahead. Do you want to see the greet up between the two of them, Kirst? He is quite close. Here he is. He's up ahead. He's over there. I don't know where the second young male is. Yep. We're going to get some signs of territorial display. Let me duck my head down. Yep, scent marking. Let's get them together because they're probably going to roar. Now that they've seen off the younger boys, they're going to show just how dominant they are. Okay. Alright. He's stopped for now. He's checking out his surroundings. The older male is at the back. Let me just show you. There he goes. He's walking there. There he is over there. And there's the second male over there. That's not the young male, is it? No, it's the older male. That did look very creepy. So we do use our spotlights out here to find the animals that we're looking for and to keep track in situations where we're not going to do them any harm by using it. Obviously, when there's a hunt on or something like that, then the spotlight goes away. Sometimes we use it to just make sure we're not about to get in between the animals or sabotage anything. That was intense. There was one moment there where I was genuinely a little bit afraid we were going to see one of those really serious male lion fights. They just looked so hyped and full of aggression. Here we go, our boys coming together. Well done, buddy. We showed them. Those young upstarts. And thus ends the violence for the evening. Good bonding session. Alright, I'll shout if I think that they're going to roar. What I'm going to do now is send you back to Tayla and her elephants.
Tristan. Right, that's what we just saw. It was so funny. I had to show you a video. I couldn't resist and not take one. But it was a really amazing setup. Obviously, these elephants have now moved out into the open. It's really quite nice. We're sitting on Philemon's cutline now, and there was a herd of wildebeest, and they started settling down, digging down, dust going everywhere, and I just thought to myself, that's a very, very silly spot to rest for the evening. And well, we were right. Those two naughty young boys that we got to show you very briefly charged in, trumpeting, and well, wildebeest scattered. They were basically playing a game of 10-pin wildebeest, and well, the elephants won. Although the wildebeest are still down there, now they know the elephants obviously not going to hassle them anymore. They seem to be a little bit more relaxed. Maybe they're going to come out back to the same spot in the open. I'm just going to go forward. It's obviously getting a little bit darker now, so we'll probably pop into infrared in a moment. Let's just get a good spot. Hello, elephant. I like the look of this little one over here. Don't run away, it's okay. I don't want to scare this little Ellie, so I'm just going to creep forward just because most of the herd is around here. And they're going to come out into the open. We could get another actually wildebeest versus elephant sighting because they're coming back out into the open. Obviously, the wildebeest don't want to be sitting in the thicket at night. It becomes very difficult for them to spot any predators. So here we go. Now we've got a view again. And are we still alright with this light, Seb? Are you happy with that?
I might switch to infrared.
Okay, so we might switch to infrared in a moment. The light has faded a fair amount now, so as we zoom in, it's going to become darker and darker. There we go. Oh, in black and white, monochrome. There we go. They're the wildebeest, so they're slowly coming back out this way. It's a nice spot for them to sleep. They've actually been spending quite a bit of time on Philemon's cutline, and I think the reason for this is because Rexon has been very busy in between drives, and he's been reinstating a lot of the fire breaks again because we are coming into the fire season. And on Philemon's cutline, he's actually dragged well, not drag, but he had an attachment to his tractor, and it was a big spinning blade that cuts the grass. Here we go. This elephant's going to go in, I think, on the right, and is going to chase them again. Yes. Yes, he is. Smelling them now. Elephants are too clever this time. They're not hanging around. Now, Aunt Jo, you're wondering why elephants are my favorite animal. It's actually a really difficult question to answer. There's not just one thing that I like about them. Firstly, look at this. Curious, I'm going to chase other animals around, and I'm not going to eat them. So it's a fairly sort of placid, very childlike attitude that I find that a lot of the elephants do have. And the way that they interact with the cars is unbelievable. Also, they're always doing something. So you can literally sit with elephants for an entire day and not be bored. Whether they're chasing wildebeest around or tearing down trees, which you may be able to hear one female is doing at the moment. She's breaking some branches off so she can feed on the bark. When they dig for water, when they go swimming in the dams. What is not to love about an elephant? Obviously, one elephant on its own is fantastic, but you have a whole herd like we have today, and on a windy day, which would be acceptable for them to be a little bit on the grumpy side, but they're not. That's just, it's truly unbelievable. And I will choose elephants over a big cat any single day of the week. I would be happy if I got to spend every single day with elephants for hours and hours on end, or even like what we saw this afternoon with those warthogs going into the burrow, or that beautiful sighting. It was a brief sighting of that waterbuck bull. You know, for me, it's not always about the big cats. Obviously, everyone's got their own preference, and it normally is quite exciting, especially when they're on the hunt. Maybe my opinion is going to change when I get to Kenya, and it's sort of a high action zone. However, in the sands, I'm very lucky. I've seen many lions taking down buffalo. I've seen lots of leopards taking down variety of antelope. But for me, there's nothing quite rewarding as these beautiful, peaceful sightings that you do get with the elephants. And it's hard not to put a smile on your face. If you've ever seen young elephants playing about, my goodness, they slip off the edges of the banks, fall in holes, handstands, try and climb over the biggest fallen branches you have ever seen in your entire life, and that's what makes them my favorite animal. But we'll sit with these Ellies, I think, for a little bit longer. I'm also going to try and find out to see if the sticks have crossed into Chitwa or onto Tayla. Let's go back across to Jamie. She's still with the lions. Maybe they're going to attempt to hunt.
I doubt it. I don't think there's going to be any hunting attempts after that moment. There's going to be a little bit of cuddling and a little bit of patrolling, but these two boys don't have any intention of going off hunting. The females have skedaddled. I don't even know which direction they skedaddled in. And the two young males, of course, are probably still running by the time they hit Tanzania. I hope we see them again. I actually became quite fond of those two little things. I always have a soft spot for the young male lions. Now, typically what I would do is I would sit and wait for the roaring that is bound to happen. However, I would really like to start running home. I'm about an hour from home and about half an hour away from the storm that's gathering, lightning, thunder, wind, and we've managed to escape so far, but I think that our time is up. And I think what we're going to do is take one last look at these males. I'll give us a bit more light. Hold on, let me go. There we go. There's our boys. Or some boys, I don't know who they are. I've got absolutely no idea. I think Brent actually has seen these male lions before. He can't get home. He's going to have to weather the storm. I can, so I'm going to race home. And while I do that, let's send you across to Brent to find out how he feels about all of that.
Well, yes, we're too far to even think about trying to race home, or anywhere for that matter. We're about as far from anywhere as we can get in terms of where we've got a spot to hide from the storm. But Dave and I, we're quite rough and tough. The girls, as you can see, have gone down, and unlike the boys, who hunted quite late into the night last night and actually moved till about 1 a.m., these girls, I think, are done. Now, of course, it's because that there are a lot of lion and hyena in this area, more so, or there's a lot of hyenas where we were with the boys, but also the grass is a bit longer. So I think they're going to be keeping still here for the rest of the night. Us, on the other hand, are probably going to head towards the Musiara Marsh, where I've heard there's 5 young male lions. So that's about probably 5 or 6 kilometers that way. Now, we are going to swap over cameras shortly and get on to our nighttime stuff. We're going to get a thermal camera out. We're going to get the big low light cannon out and see what we can find. Now, I think, as I said earlier, we're going to have a bit of bahati. Bahati is, of course, the Swahili word for luck. I think we might be okay. It's difficult to say just yet. Now, the funniest thing is the weather around here is almost impossible to predict. It comes from all directions. Now, where Jamie is underneath that massive cloud there to the west. Now, that will come down and literally dump just on that sort of couple of kilometers next to the escarpment and won't hit us. So I'm more worried about the clouds coming to the north from us, but some of them have pushed through sort of further to the east and south. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to sneak between these different storms and maybe go find some lions on the hunt amongst the wildebeest in the Musiara Marsh. While we do that, Tayla has got something that there aren't as many of in Djuma as there are here.
So we haven't really gone too much further other than crawling up the road a couple of meters, and we had another very exciting experience where the two, I think they look slightly older than the two young bulls that had started pushing and shoving earlier on in the drive. They were just running around, and it reminded me of my younger brother and I chasing one another in the shops. Obviously, we're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be standing next to my mother and, behaving. And it was hysterical because they ran right past the wildebeest. Wildebeest panicked, then they ran back again and they went towards them a third time. And one of the cows actually intervened as if to say, if you two don't stop what you're doing right now, you're both, in the naughty corner, or however the elephants punish each other. Actually, they're quite aggressive when those little ones don't behave. We've seen cows pushing other younger bulls right off of their feet when they get out of line. So definitely strict reprimanding that goes on within an elephant herd. But it was hysterical, though. The poor wildebeest just don't know where to go. They almost just stand in the middle the whole time, just going, surely they're not going to run into us. But they're putting on a fantastic show for us tonight, and we really have been getting some exceptional sightings with the infrared lights and the elephants. Remember, we'd never would have been able to have done this without these special lights, and we're very lucky because, as you've seen, a lot of the time they're full of energy as the sun goes down, so they don't stop. They don't go to sleep like you and I would. They're not particularly, not night owls, but they still feed, they carry on. Some of them might stop and have a little rest, though. I find that elephants normally rest during the day, especially when it's very hot. They'll find a nice big shady tree, if there's one that has leaves, and they'll stand motionlessly. But sometimes they don't even need rest for a few days. There you go, the youngster, curious about the wildebeest. You can just see him standing off to the left. Better be careful now, because some of your older family members have already been reprimanded for chasing the nice animals around. They just can't help themselves, though. They've got such curious minds. They're so intelligent. You can't really blame them for wanting to steer off in the direction of the wildebeest and give them a bit of a chase. What I'd love to see, and maybe I'll be very lucky, is to see a similar sighting in Kenya, however, with a couple of thousand wildebeest. Can you imagine a young, curious elephant charging in to a herd of a few thousand, even a few hundred wildebeest would be spectacular. So I'm looking forward to a potential sighting like that. Whether I'm asking a bit too much, I'm not sure. But, you can only just put it out there and hope that nature answers, everything that you want from them. I hope that that's the case. There's lots of things I want to see. I'm going to miss the elephants of the Sabi sand, though. That's for sure. Oh, why are you panicking? Sort of move out of their way. Sorry, Seb. Well, obviously it's dark, and something gave them a fright, and all the little ones huddled towards Mom. And now I can't remember which is the cow that was slightly agitated when we first came across the herd. And like I said, we want to just give her a wide berth because they're not particularly comfortable at night. Their eyesight is not as good as what it is during the day. It's always good just to edge on the side of caution, and actually rather just move back. I also can't really see what's going on around me. All my lights are off. I can barely make out the elephants and the wildebeest. They just look like dark specks, dark sort of silhouettes against the skyline. And I think that's almost the end of our elephant sighting. Most of them have now moved off into the thicket. They look like they could be going towards Treehouse Dam, in fact, but they've got quite a way to go before they reach that watering hole. Doesn't look like they've recently had it, although her trunk's a bit damp. I wonder where they would have drank. Did anybody see any elephants at the dam cam throughout the day? Can let us know. # Safari Live, of course. I can't remember hearing anything about elephants being there. Perhaps they were at... Maybe it's the same herd that Tristan heard cracking branches off of Gallagher. We know that they can move very, very quickly and cover large distances in a real short amount of time. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're all the way over here. And who knows? Maybe because they're so rowdy, they might go for a little night swim in a little bit later. It's warm. It'd be a good night to go for a night swim, in fact. What a cool sighting. That was... I think the animals are really pulling out all the stops now. I know it's been a little bit quiet here and there, and like I said, it hasn't necessarily been action-packed with cats, but that suits me just fine. If the smaller animals can keep me entertained, I'm very happy with that. But thank you very much, elephants. You were really wonderful this afternoon. You were a nice surprise towards the end of the drive. And that's what I really am enjoying about Mara and the Sabi San, is that you get a bit of both. You get that lovely, close, intimate experience with the elephants, you know, surrounding the cars. And then you get the high-action cat sort of sightings in Mara, which is amazing. Now, Jared, you're wondering if there's a tree too tough for an elephant to eat. Shoo, there's very few things out here that an elephant can't handle. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh, it's Jared and one of our team members in Mara. So, Jared, I look forward to meeting you, by the way. And I still haven't met Scott, so just lots of new faces I'll have to meet, so that's going to be quite cool. I would say that if anything, if anyone's going to give an elephant a run for its money, it might be a leadwood tree. But even then, I reckon if an elephant really wanted to, it could probably push one down. But they are some of the oldest living trees in the area, and they are massive here in the Sabi San. Hopefully you come down and, well, you can see it for yourself. They're incredible trees. So I reckon a little bit tough. A little bit tough for them. But again, they can push many, many different things over. And so even the thorniest of thorn trees cannot withstand an elephant. See, this cow's not... You see, she keeps looking over at us. I think this might be the same cow that we had it just wasn't a pleasant encounter like we've had with the other elephants. She keeps watching us. She sort of stops eating as if to sort of listen to what I'm saying. Maybe she's saying that I'm talking absolute nonsense and leadwood is the easiest tree to push down. It wouldn't surprise me. But I think we're going to move on from these Ellies now. In the next few minutes, they are going to push off into the thicket and we won't have a view. But let's go back across to Jamie, and she's just on a bumble.
I'm not on a bumble, I'm on a race. That is an entirely different thing. I'm on a race against the weather. Tayla hasn't met Manu yet either. Manu's a legend. Hey, Manu. Yeah, you are. No, we're racing the storm. Which is a bit tricky on a grass 2 track, but I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to make it. We can weather it, but it's not entirely pleasant, and it gets a bit leaky. Oh, hold on, everyone. I will stop if I see an aardvark, a serval, a leopard, or a bat-eared fox. How does that sound? Or anything else exciting, because I feel like I'm going to have missed something off the list. Or an aardwolf. I can't believe the direction that afternoon took. I was sitting there as it was getting dark thinking, okay, I wonder what these lionesses are going to do. They're probably going to go as soon as there's no light left. And as I thought that, they sat bolt upright, not caring if the wildebeest were in any way concerned. And that was when I heard the growling, looked across, saw stampeding wildebeest and zebra, and then Manu actually spotted the lion first. Oh, by the way, speaking of the lions, those two boys, the older boys, are actually not that much older. Having had a look at them now, I would say they maybe 4, if at a guess in the dark. They don't look that much older. They're not massive male lions. They are not male lions in their sort of full strength. But obviously they've established this territory for themselves, or they think they want to. And that was the reason behind that blowout with the 2 younger boys. So definitely not any kind of fatherly connection there. The age gap is far too close. And Nancy, talking about the difference between can't really look back and race. Nancy would like to know what a bumble is exactly. A bumble is when you are driving about with at no real speed and with no particular purpose, ready to find absolutely anything, whatever the day has to offer you. Doesn't matter if it's a giraffe or a bird. it's not quite the same as a race away from a storm, and it's not quite the same as a focused drive searching for leopards or lions or something. Oh goodness, I'm sorry, Manu's still on board. That's my understanding of what a bumble means, Nancy, if it makes a difference. Do you know where we've just popped out? At the lugger that we always see them at, the young boys, where James saw them, where I saw them, where I lost them when I desperately had to take a break and had to move the vehicle away from them so that I could do so. So they don't travel far. They didn't follow the migration. Perhaps they should have. Oh, well, I suppose they were, actually. They were near the wildebeest, which might actually have been what led them into that coalition's territory, following the wildebeest. That's exactly where we are. That's where I first saw them, is where I just came out into this main road. It all comes together. Our understanding is, if not deepening, certainly broadening. My cap wants to fly away. Oh, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We might even, if I'm feeling brave, we might even check in on the Agamas on our way through. Oh, while I race in the direction of home, let's go back to Tayla, who's on a bumble.
Chameleon, but give it a bash. Hi everybody again. We are bumbling just as Jamie is bumbling. We have left our elephants. Like I said, they moved off into the thicket now, so there's not really much of a sighting. I don't off-road for elephants during the day, so I probably won't do it at night either. Now it's so warm. Seb's bragging that he's still in a t-shirt tonight, which is really... And sorry, let me just get this straight. He's corrected me. I think I was going to get a whack on the back of the head for getting it incorrect. Yeah, he said he's got short sleeves with a t-shirt on, he's wearing shorts, and he's barefoot. Why are you barefoot, Seb? Because it's so warm, and because you've got camops foot.
Yeah, that was...
All the camops that work for Wild Earth all seem to get injuries on their feet all the time. So they've got their own medical, they've got a medical condition called camops foot. Let's see if we can find a chameleon. We might be lucky. Now, Cheryl, hello Cheryl, you're wondering what animals am I most excited about seeing in the Mara? All of them. I'm very, very excited to add some new birds to my list. So hopefully I get an opportunity to jump on board with Brent, or at least sit with him for 5 minutes so he can tell me which exciting birds he's seen. Obviously he knows East Africa quite well. But not only the birds, I'm very excited to see Cheetah. Of course, I said I can't wait to spend some time with them. I look forward to that. And I also can't wait to see Eland. Probably going to just call them Eland because I'm English, and Eland is a hard word to say. I struggle. So I haven't seen Eland in a very, very, very long time. When I worked in the Eastern Cape, they were one of the most prominent antelope in that area. So I miss seeing those massive bulls with those huge dewlaps. They are so impressive. I've got so many stories that I can tell you about the eland, but we'll save them for when I get to Kenya. I'm also very excited to see Topi and Thompson's gazelle. I haven't ever seen Thompson's gazelle before. What else? The crocodiles and the crossing, the migration, just everything. Kenya is a completely new experience for me, so I am warning you now. I'm apologizing for the excitement and the very girly-like squeals that may come out of my mouth, because I get excited about the smallest things. The smallest things. I've now also been reprimanded by Final Control in Mara. I'm not in anyone's good books anymore, am I? They've said, and Kirsty, and Jerry, and Rebecca, and the rest of the Mara team, and Lou, and all of them. Yes, of course, I'm most excited to see you, but sometimes the show has to be about animals. So sorry, guys, I put you second best there. But yes, can you imagine? I might even cry when I see you all, because I've missed you so much. You know, it's literally like my family was just torn and just taken and sent off, and then I was, no, but luckily I had a newer family here that adopted me, and which was quite nice. Didn't abandon me. So there's lots of different things that I can't wait to see, but I'm also going to miss lots, but I won't be gone forever. I'll be back in Djuma before you know it. Right, let's go back to Brent. I'm sure he's got his infrared on. Let's go and see what the cheetah are up to.
Well, we've got our infrared, low light, thermal, all the toys up and running. So we had to swap over cameras, so you won't be seeing any of me for the next while. So the cheetah girls were sleeping right next to us while we were doing the swap over. That's why we're still with them. And then there was a noise in the grass that sent them scampering away. Now they are very nervous with this strong wind, long grass, and in an area that is absolutely inundated with lions and hyenas. So I think I'm not going to stay too long with them. I'm not going to add to their nervousness this evening. They are still young. They're still learning the ropes. And so we're just going to have this last look at them. I think they're going to settle down again. I think they've probably just got a fright from a gust of wind. And who knows, maybe we'll find them in the morning. But I think let's leave the poor girls to their own devices now. And while they are nervous, and let's go find some bullocking young male lions. There we go, disappearing into the long grass. Now, the next challenge that Dave and I have is to find the nearest road. I'm not quite sure where it is. We crossed a road a while ago, but now it's pitch black. So we're going to stumble on in the darkness, try find a road. I know which direction we want to go. Maybe there is something. Maybe there's hyena or something behind us that has caused them to become a bit nervous. Now, they will be far more nervous of hyenas than those 5 boys. As we saw last night, the 5 boys will put up a bit of a fight sometimes. But in the end, the hyenas always win out against Cheetah. They cannot afford any injury. And of course, maybe they can hear something we can't. And the wind isn't as strong as it was earlier, but it is nevertheless still gusting. Now, Gary's wondering why is it that the cheetah get the most kills of the big cats but are the most endangered? Woof. Lots of reasons, Gary. One, they've become so over-specialized that they cannot defend their kills from other predators. So the slightest injury could lead to a cheetah's demise. Also, in that over-specialization, they actually reached a genetic bottleneck about 10,000 years ago. And that caused them to almost become extinct naturally. But we can chat about that a little bit later, because Jamie has got one of my favorite spotted cats.
We do indeed, and there it is, sitting on top of the termite mound. I promised I'd stop for a serval, and I did. And speaking of knowledge broadening, if not deepening, this is the 3rd time I've seen this particular serval, and it's beautifully, beautifully chilled, and it's hunting. Jared in final control. Now, Jared, this morning at 4:45, I got up to start getting everything ready this morning, and Jared sent me a message, and I was wondering why it was that he was awake, because I needed to ask him for a favor. Long story short, he told us a story about 3 servals fighting outside our kitchen. Now, Jared in final control would like to know, do servals ever come into our camp? Well, Jared, we only have your word for it. Essentially, none of us have ever seen them. It is only Jared's word that there were 3 servals fighting outside the kitchen, outside Jared's tent. I'm inclined to believe him, though. Jared, I think you're telling the truth. Now, Kirsty, did you say that was you that thinks that? Oh, Brent thinks that it was the Arctic water that it made Jared believe that it was a serval. Poor old Jared, of course, had an unfortunate incident as he was returning to us coming from Alaska, where his plane had to make an emergency water landing and he had to swim to shore. Whilst I imagine that was utterly terrifying, and we're all very glad that Jared made it back to us safely in one piece in the Masai Mara, I'm not sure it addled his brain. The serval's seen something. It really has. It's so intently focused. I'm actually going to... Oh, no, hold on, I'm not, because it's poised to jump. Is it gonna... Yeah! Did it get it? Yes, it did, it got it! It got it, it's a little vole or something. It's a little rodent. Oh, it caught it. Incredible! Is that our first live serval kill? Epic! How cool is that? And there it goes, stalking off with that weirdly shaped tail. I always find serval tails so strange. Let's go a bit closer now that it's got its prey. I just want to make sure that it is relaxed with us. It always has been in the times that I've seen it, but let's get us a little closer. Nice, Manu! Lion fight and a serval kill. Can you come out on drive with me more often? Oh, you probably need my help to find it. There we go. There you go. There's our serval, having caught itself a rodent. Hey, that was really very cool. That was the first time I've ever seen that. Aren't they beautiful cats? About sort of double the size of your average house cat in terms of height. Your average house cat, not one of those giant things. And really kind of like a cheetah in miniature. They are known for their spectacular leaps up into the air. They're expert bird hunters, and apparently rodent hunters as well. Pickle Green, you say serval 1, lion 0. Yes, well, the serval didn't mess about for too long, did she? I think it's a she. It jumped right on in there, whereas our lionesses dilly-dallied, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my goodness, sorry, tired. The lionesses dilly-dallied for far too long, and as a result, lost their opportunity thanks to brawling males, although one can hardly blame them for that. I didn't predict it, I certainly can't imagine they did. I'm just thinking, maybe if we go just a little bit up the slope, we'll actually be able to see it while it feeds. This is such an amazing opportunity for our new viewers. That is a first. That is really seriously a first. Hold on, everybody. Okay, that should help. That should help. Where'd it go? That's, there it is. There it is. Okay, so it hasn't helped that much, but it was definitely worth it. So, I promised I'd stop for a serval, and boy am I glad I did, even if it means that we get utterly soaked on our way home, which I don't think we will. But even if we do, it will have been worth it just for that one spectacular moment. The leap of the serval, the fact that it found its prey, showing just how how wonderfully it uses its ears. Mr. P in Canada, welcome as always. Mr. P, nope. It is not enough to feed the serval, and it probably will hunt several times during the night. I keep saying that it's a she. I said the same thing when VM and I were with it the other day. I haven't actually had a chance to check, so maybe we'll get lucky in the last few minutes, seconds before drive, and we'll have a chance to see. Or maybe you had a chance to see if you got any screenshots. I was distracted by the fact that it had caught something. Alert, looking around, listening always, and back to feeding. They are stunning creatures. Ah, that was so exciting. So exciting. Manu, don't worry about taking the camera off it, but I'm just going to try... No, gravity is not on my side. I was going to try and roll back to get rid of that grass. But I think I've done enough fiddling for tonight. Well, I think a lot of you got to share your first serval kill with me, because it was my first one as well. I've seen many serval. I've seen them leap up and try and catch birds, but I've never seen them successfully kill. Shamel, you say you've not seen a serval hunt that clearly before? No, me neither. That was really the most spectacular serval hunt I've ever had. What a really, really special way to end off the drive. CJ, you never used to say the word epic until you started watching Safari Live. Well, CJ, that's because it's the most epic thing in the world. Ever. But then I'm biased, aren't I? Right, on that profound note, it is time for us to say goodnight and goodbye to all. A big thank you to Manu for his wonderful camera work. Thank you to Kirsty and to Jerry in Final Control, who are even more sleep deprived than I am. Most importantly, and Megan across on Djuma, and of course our Djuma team as a whole. Most importantly, a big thank you to all of you. Let's go back to the Serval. I think it might be really nice to finish off on it. I know the credits are rolling, but it's just worth it. There it is. Bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.